The Gulf War unleashed the most deadly instrument of war in recent years. This short but intense confrontation devastated Kuwait in many ways. Among her many post-war problems was the reclamation of areas infested with mines and explosive devices. A Pakistani task force was among 6 other countries entrusted with this dangerous clearance operation. Though they were assigned the most difficult area, which lay to the north of Kuwait City, they accepted the challenge and measured up to the task. Their dedicated efforts and expertise helped them to complete the project well ahead of time and help the people of Kuwait recover from the ravages of war. While the world was involved in the aftermath of the Gulf War, attention turned to the Horn of Africa, where in 1992, civil strife and starvation in Somalia had brought the country to the brink of a humanitarian disaster. The famished faces of innocent Somali children shook the world. The United Nations decided to launch a major relief operation for the victims of the feud and famine. Law and order was a prerequisite for the successful launching of any humanitarian effort. Therefore, the Blue Berets, under the banner of the United Nations Operation in Somalia, or UNOSOM-1, landed at Mogadishu, the capital city and the seaport. Pakistan joined the force wholeheartedly, and a large contingent formed part of the UN peacekeepers. Not only that, they were among the first to land and the last to leave. This ill-fated UN operation lasted almost 2.5 years. During this period, the peacekeepers did tremendous work to mitigate human suffering. But it was the Pakistani contingent which paid the heaviest price for peace in terms of human sacrifice. In one of the search operations under the orders of UN Force Headquarters, the Pakistani Blue Berets inspected a weapons storage site. They completed their mission successfully. On their way back, they were ambushed. In this tragic episode, 23 Pakistani peacekeepers were martyred, 56 were injured, and 11 disabled for life. But this did not deter them from alleviating the pain and suffering of innocent Somali men, women, and children. They went all out to help and heal, and so won the goodwill of the people. They continued to build peace till such time as the UN decided to pull out of Somalia. The Pakistani contingent acted as the rear guard and withdrew only after the last UN Blue Beret had left in safety. While the UNOSOM was in the midst of its efforts to restore normalcy in Somalia, another 3,000-strong contingent of Blue Berets from Pakistan departed for Bosnia in May 1994. This comprised 2 battalion groups, Pakbat 1 and Pakbat 2, forming part of a larger UN protection force, UNPROFOR, in Bosnia-Herzegovina. At a time when Bosnia was bleeding from the wounds of ethnic violence, it needed healing and peacekeeping. Measure more than plain peacekeeping. The Pakbats provided protection to all ethnic minority groups, refugees and displaced persons, along with protection and support to UN agencies and NGOs engaged in relief work and humanitarian assistance in areas ravaged by ethnic hatred and violence. They even stretched their own resources in providing foodstuff, medical care, and clothing to the needy. They also helped in the restoration of the infrastructure and community services, and above all, of confidence and hope in the UN efforts. The Pakistani peacekeepers were the first to respond to the humanitarian tragedy after the Serbs overran the UN-declared safe havens of Srebrenica and Žepa in July 1995. There were over 50,000 refugees, and neither the UN nor the Bosnian government had foreseen a disaster of such magnitude. The Pak Bat bore the brunt for 36 hours, with all the human and material resources at their disposal, providing food, shelter, clothing, and medical care to the homeless and hapless victims of the Exodus. After the downsizing of UNPROFOR in mid-1995, the Pakistani contingent became the third largest group of Blue Berets in Bosnia. And when UNPROFOR was replaced by the National Implementation Force, IFOR, the Pakistani peacekeepers were retained by the UN during the sensitive period of transition. Thus, the Pak Bats acquitted themselves in the best tradition of the Blue Berets,